Not in Connecticut. In the NFL right now, Micah Parsons is not happy in Dallas as he wants a new deal and posted a 3-page statement that ended with the following, quote, "I stayed quiet, but again, after repeated shots at myself and all the narratives, I have made a tough decision. I no longer want to play for the Dallas Cowboys. My trade request has been submitted to Stephen Jones personally." Eek. Now, while fans may be panicking, Jerry Jones doesn't appear to be too moved by the request. Take a listen.
I think the world of Micah, and that's just part of negotiation. What y'all don't know is what I offered him, and it's a hell of a lot more than you think I did. That's what you don't know. But my point is, I reached. Make no mistake about it, I reached. As always, in any relationships, there are different moods at different times of your relationship. That's what it is. Don't lose any sleep over it.
So just to be
That's the
clear,
one thing I would say to our fans. Don't lose any sleep over it.
Don't lose any sleep. Okay.
That's what my wife tells me when the Amazon email hits. Lose any sleep over it.
All right, well, Micah Parsons isn't the only star requesting a trade in the NFC East. Terry McLaurin asked to be traded from the Commanders last week after Washington failed to get a deal done ahead of training camp. McLaurin is entering the final year of his deal with an average annual value of just over $23 million, and according to our Adam Schefter, is seeking a similar deal to DK Metcalf's $33 million a season. RC, would it be a mistake, a bigger mistake, I should say, to get rid of McLaurin or Micah Parsons?
Micah. And I know there's probably somebody at this desk, at least judging from the first hour, who is going to
I wonder.
who's going to disagree with that. But if you get rid of Terry McLaurin, it makes this year more difficult for your team. It makes Jayden Daniels taking a step forward or ascension a little more difficult to navigate. If you trade Micah Parsons, you are punting on this era of the Dallas Cowboys. In a situation where you made Dak Prescott the highest paid player in the history of the NFL, you're saying that at least right now, we aren't trying to win a Super Bowl. You don't go out and pay CeeDee Lamb the way you did. You don't pay Dak Prescott the way you did to then say, but we really ain't trying to win a championship. If you trade Terry McLaurin, it does say things about the current regime. It says, you know what? We don't have or hold value to what you have been to this organization. We don't hold value on the quarterbacks you did produce with or the person that you were. But that's something that the new regime with Adam Peters and Dan Quinn and that new locker room can get over. If you treat the best player on your team this way, if you punt on this organization having an opportunity or showing that you want to compete for a Super Bowl, you do all those things if you trade Micah Parsons. And to me, that's giving up.
I'm curious if you disagree with that.
David or Dan? I'm going with Daniel.
What was that really good Olympic? That was Dan. Yeah, Dan versus David. Yeah. The Olympic.
It wasn't Dan versus Dan?
It might have been. All right. I say Terry McLaurin. I say Terry McLaurin. And good points in relation to the Micah thing. The reason I say Terry is this. I truly believe Washington has a quarterback that should win a Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. I don't feel that way about Dallas. Washington should win a Super Bowl with that young man. So I think moving on from Terry derails that. It deters that, and it changes the trajectory of it. I also believe Washington has a quarterback that should win MVP of the NFL. And trading away Terry McLaurin derails that. It deters that. I think the second thing is Washington has the cost flexibility to keep Terry McLaurin.
Yes.
It's much easier financially to figure out whether you think the number is 33 or 32 or 31. I think it's the dumbest thing in all of that. You have the cost flexibility to make it work if you really want to make it work. And the third thing is, and it's a little bit how RC touched on Micah with the best player, Terry McLaurin's been the best player in person in that organization for 5 or 6 years. I understand it's business, but you can still treat really good human beings and people and soldiers the right way. And he's that one person in that organization that you'd sit there and be like, yep, we're going to do it for that guy.
Yeah.
And so I just think it derails all the good and the goodwill and the vibes and the hopes that was built up last year I think it just takes it and it goes, gone.
I think Dan brings up a good point about Micah Parsons. If he's on the Dallas Cowboys, do you see them as they are a clear playoff team?
Yeah, I think they are a playoff. They can be a playoff team, Micah Parsons. But here's the difference: the floor without Micah Parsons is so much lower in that Cowboys team than the floor without McLaurin for that Commanders team, and that's the difference. There is a world in which you squint and you say Jayden Daniels making an improvement this year, right? Can figure out ways to get that offense still humming if you don't have McLaurin there. It's going to be more difficult, but there's a way you can squint and make that happen. You look at that Cowboys defense.
Squint hard.
You got to squint hard. But there ain't no squinting when you talk about that Cowboys defense without Micah Parsons. They got nothing. He is that entire defense. He's best. Like, this is essentially looking at, like a best quarterback. This is like looking at Lamar Jackson, the Ravens without Lamar Jackson when you're talking about the Cowboys without Micah Parsons. So from a football aspect, I think that there's just no way that you can overcome Micah Parsons defensively if you are the Cowboys. Now, if you're talking about outside of the actual X's and O's of football, the soft meanings behind this, the Jerry Jones aspect of this Cowboys thing, if you lose Micah Parsons, he no longer becomes an obstacle in what you're trying to build with the Cowboys. He is now an insurmountable force that is a deterrent from the Cowboys winning, because this all falls on the shoulders of Jerry Jones. This is his fumble. This is something that he has blown. This is an easy solution that is solely on Jerry Jones that this has not gotten done. And you look at him as the reason that this Cowboys franchise, if they do not get this thing done, right, is going from a team that you can say, hey, we can make some sort of push, or you have no shot. And that is what that means beyond the football. That's the importance of this for Jerry Jones and Michael.
Well, first off, it was Dan versus Dave. It was Dan O'Brien and Dave Johnson.
Yes.
It was a Reebok Olympic campaign.
Yes.
So this is perfect. Continue.
I think neither of those guys
It was like a decathlon or something like that. Yeah, no question.
That was a great ad. I remember being a kid thinking, all right, wasn't athletic enough. Here's my thing, and I would really appreciate your perspective on it. With respect to Micah, I think Terry impacts winning in Washington more than Micah impacts winning in Dallas. I really do. I think Terry McLaurin is in that group of receivers that wins when it's hard to win and impacts the football team winning the same way that Jamar does in Cincy, that Justin does in Minnesota, and that Amon-Ra does in Detroit. They just have an impact on their offense and the production of it, and that offense being good enough for the team's ability to win. Micah's great. He's amazing. He's sensational. But I think you take Micah away from the Dallas Cowboys, and I still think they flirt with being a playoff contending football team.
Ooh.
Oh.
I do. I do. Because I still think, Dave, to your point, like, there's some good individual players on that defense still.
And they also are just flirting with it, even with Micah Parsons right now.
Exactly. Where if you take Terry and he's in Washington absolutely expect to be in the playoffs. Absolutely. With Terry McLaurin's there. You take Terry away? Nope. No.
Yeah, I think I think to me, the argument for Terry in this conversation is the impact on Jayden. Right? There is, whether you're squinting or your eyes are wide open, there's an individuality to what Micah Parsons does that's different from what Terry McLaurin does.
Sure.
Right? Yes, Micah Parsons can impact wins and losses with sack fumbles and with huge plays and with pressures, but Terry McLaurin, we actually get to see what the winning plays look like. Yeah. Right? Where we're watching Jayden Daniels' coming out party against the Cincinnati Bengals, and we remember the catch. Yeah. Right? But on the other end of that is the throw from Jayden Daniels, and you say, wow, this was a play that signified Jayden Daniels' arrival as one of the guys. And so I do believe that has to be taken into context. I believe that has to be taken into context when we talk about who Terry McLaurin was for this group last year. But I think there's